today's lesson we're going to talk about refrigerants. There's a lot of change going on in the HVAC industry regarding refrigerants, and I want to clear up a little bit of confusion because it certainly can be a little bit scary if you don't really understand what it means. Starting in 2025, R410A refrigerant will start being phased out, and the new refrigerant R32 and R454B will begin being phased in. So right now, and in the past, we've used R410A refrigerant, which is composed of 50% R32 and 50% R125. So this is a blended refrigerant. We've been using it for a while. It's a good refrigerant, but the EPA does not like the global warming potential of that refrigerant. They want the global warming potential to be lower, so therefore they're outlawing the production of R410A in the future, and right now we're going to start the phase out process because obviously we can't just shut it off or there's going to be a lot of people without air conditioning. And the new refrigerants are going to be R32, R454B. Certain companies are using R32, certain companies are using R454B. I'm not exactly sure why they chose one or the other, but we do know the facts about them. R32 is 100% a pure refrigerant made of R32. It can be charged as a liquid or a gas because it's a pure refrigerant. R454B is a blended refrigerant. It's made of 68.9% R32 and 31.1% of R1234YF, which is actually the same refrigerant that's found in most modern vehicles. So overall, the global warming potential of R32 is a little bit higher than R454B, and basically that's going to be the effect on the ozone layer. The overall total emissions of R32 is less than R454B. So therefore, I would think that this is a better refrigerant for the earth, because we can't just think about the global warming potential. We have to think about the production of the refrigerant, the recycling of the refrigerant, the energy consumption of the equipment using the refrigerant. All that has to go into play for the total emissions. So again, R32 has less total emissions than R454B. They're both classified as an A2L refrigerant, which is mildly flammable. It's a little bit more flammable than R410A, but since it crosses that threshold from an A1 to an A2L, it has to be listed as mildly flammable. It requires different tags, different data sheets, different processes and procedures to make sure that it's safe. So they're both the same classification. R32 has no temperature glide. That's a technical term when we're charging units. We have to know the temperature of the refrigerant. So since R32 is a pure refrigerant, there's no glide. With R454B, there is a glide because it's a mixed refrigerant. It could fractionalize where basically different parts of the mixes leak out at different rates. Therefore, it's not recommended that you top those units off with new refrigerant, but again, I'm not saying you can't do it. I don't need to hear about how you can do it. I know. System capacity, if R410A is 100% capacity, R32 will end up with 110% capacity, where R454B will end up with 97% capacity. When we're talking about efficiencies, again, if R410A is 100% efficient and we put R32 into that equipment, it would now be 107% efficient. So we're going to go up 7%. R454B is 102% efficient. So not quite as efficient as R32, but still more efficient than R410A that we're using now. In terms of the refrigerant charge size, R32 can be up to 40% smaller, where R454B is up to 10% smaller. So again, if we're thinking about production, we're thinking about cost, longevity. If you can get more efficiency out of less, then that's going to be more efficient overall. I personally believe R32 is a better option for refrigerant, and I'm not just saying that because we sell Daikin, Goodman, and Amana that are using R32, where everyone else is using R454B. R32 doesn't have a patent on it. It's not a proprietary product. R454B does have a patent on it. It is a proprietary product. If you ask me, it probably comes down to the dollars. doesn't make much sense.